for Arfield. One up early. Scott Arfield. He's been threatening that recently. And all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end. Oh, what a goal! What a goal from Robbie Blake! Burnley's first goal in the Premier League is something very, very special.
Wade Elliott has that change of pace and he's got away from Montgomery into the path of McCann and the follow-up finds the net. What a strike from Wade Elliott! A bolt from the Claret and Blue.
Oh goodness me! What a goal from Patterson! If that is to be the one that takes them to Wembley, you cannot argue with that. Pure quality.
Here goes Mike Conroy. Still time for a winner, maybe. John Francis! They came to York in their thousands. They're going home as champions.
I mean, if there's any justice in the world, Burnley would surely score from this corner. Swung right in there. Ball in there. Yeah! Michael Keane! Oh, that's justice! That is justice at the Amex Stadium. Burnley are level and deserve to be.
Hello everyone and welcome along to the latest episode of the Turfcast podcast pre-game show with me, Joe Redmond, ahead of this weekend's game with Reading down at what I like to still call the Medeski Stadium. Big one for the Clarets. Obviously we can win the league at Reading. As the famous commentary goes, they came to York in their thousands. They're going home as champions. Maybe we will hear some new epic commentary this weekend. They went to Reading in their thousands. They're going home as champions. But, of course, we need Sheffield United to lose the earlier game if that is to happen. But that's what we needed on Good Friday. We needed Luton not to win, and that happened. Then we went to Middlesbrough and then, of course, seal promotion. But it's a game, this one, with all due respect, and I've got a Reading fan waiting in the rings, and I will bring him in a minute, so I am quite reluctant to say this, but we have just spoken on his podcast, and I kind of said the same thing anyway. It's a game that I'm expecting to win, but it's never easy against a team that's down there fighting for their lives, especially a team that has just sacked their manager, which I'm going to be honest with you, I am gutted about, because obviously Burnley and Paulies have a history due to the Blackburn Rovers situation anyway. But he had an epic cry, didn't he, earlier in the season at Turf Moor. You can kind of see why he would be upset with the 94th minute winner for the Clarets. But the clip has been shared so many times by Burnley fans. He's there going, well, these are apparently the best team in the league, while you've got Burnley fans in the background chanting, you're fucking shit, absolutely brilliant. So I was hoping to make him cry again, and it would have been just a beautiful piece of symmetry, or whatever you want to call it, round thing, full circle, if we'd then beat him and then sacked him. But not to be. Reading have sacked him already. Noel Hunt is there, and of course we will now bring in our Reading fan. It is Matt, and he is from the Reading podcast, the Elm Park Royals. How you doing, mate?
Not too bad. A lot better than the weekend, because as you lovely portrayed there, we have sacked Paul Ince, and yeah, about fucking time on it, I have to say.
Yeah.
It's, oh my God. I'm sure
I presume you're happy with the sacking then, yeah? You're happy with the sacking? Do you think it should have been done 6 months ago?
I've never seen a fan base so united in hatred towards one manager, and it's weird that I say that, but it really got to that stage. And to think where last year we had Valko Paunovic in charge, there was protest, there was we penned the team bus in at Peterborough away at one point, protesting against the players, and we've had managers. Paul Clement, Jaap Stam went down very quickly as well. He started criticising the fans, not sort of, nicely, but people are saying, like Paul Ince makes Paul Clement look like Pep Guardiola, and would love to have Paul Clement back over Paul Ince. It's something. It should have happened. It should have happened weeks ago, to be honest, because it's just been toxic, turgid, downhill, just catastrophe, really, the last few weeks.
Yeah. Obviously, the last few weeks, you have, of course, slipped back into the relegation zone. Just looking at the league table now, Wigan and Blackpool gone. I think you still have a chance of stopping up. Of course, you have had the points deduction, haven't you? Was it 6 points?
6 points, yeah. Without it, we would be 47 points, I think it is at the
without
moment.
it,
And 18th.
without it, you'd probably be safe. Because obviously 50 is meant to be the magic number. And you'd only be 1 win away from that. So I think you'd probably be safe. If you can, and I don't want to send you into a depression or anything, but talk to me about your season so far, because you actually started quite well. A lot of people, obviously, we're new to the Championship, so I remember not knowing too much about it, watching a lot of second tier pod and stuff, and some one of your podcasts, for example, and I think I watched Roker Report, just basically getting some predictions off all the other teams of where they think teams will finish. Everybody had you down there, down at the bottom, potentially relegated, but then you start the season really well, and of course now it's looking like you could be going down. But what are your thoughts on your season so far?
Well, I think before the season, to be honest, I think everyone on our podcast as well were ready to go down, in all honesty.
Yeah.
There was no real hope for survival. It was almost like, let's just try and start building something, change things behind the scenes. Behind the scenes did change. We've had Mark Bowen come in, sporting director. That was really good. Recruitment structure. Brian Carey came in as head of recruitment because we didn't actually have any recruitment. Our recruitment was he who shan't be named in Kia Urabachan. Chief football club killer, seemingly. He was our recruitment, so he got carted out, thankfully, and we got Brian Carey in, a recruitment structure in place as well. Eddie Nowitzki came back in as head of player development. Academy got restructured, so it was good on that side, and that happened in the early parts of the season. It probably got a bit of feel good within the fans because, again, we talked about it before. There was some protests last season as well with against the owner, the way the club was being run, because there was no structure. We didn't have a sporting director, didn't have anything recruitment wise. It was literally the owner and Kia Urabachan running the club, which was just bonkers, really. But the season started. We started really well, and yeah. We did start really well. I do remember doing some podcasts earlier in the season, though, talking to away fans, and they asked kind of what's happened at the start of the season. What's happening? What's Paul Ince done? And I remember saying then, like, I don't know. I generally don't know how we're getting these wins. It kind of had that feeling about it. Maybe luck probably was on our side. Let's be honest. We probably rode our luck. There was a good fight about the team. They were working, and quite often in games you could see that they were at least working harder than the opposition. But I think as we very quickly realized, they were having to work harder because there was just, to say that I've never seen a team coached less than this current Reading team would be an understatement, because there's just nothing in this Reading team. What transpired after that, the dip in form, it's just a culmination of everything from zero tactics from Paul Ince, zero clue of how to set a team up, zero clue of how to nullify an opposition team, and zero clue about how to actually train his team to actually do what he wants them to do. That's before you even get into all the gaslighting and in his post-match press conferences, throwing players under the bus constantly whenever we'd lose, say that, oh, the players aren't good enough. Oh, if I was in that team, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't be standing for that. I'd be right in their faces. It's like, well, you're the coach, you're the manager, teach them. And he just didn't. That I would not be able to say one thing that Paul Ince coached into that team, or one player he made better in his time here, which, given he was here for a year and 2 months, is frightening, really.
What's the difference then between Reading from the earlier part of the season to the Reading that's been the last 6-7 weeks where you've been terrible, basically?
It's probably a bit of luck. I have to maybe some confidence in there as well, because we all know what confidence does to football teams. To be honest, we had a fantastic game against Blackburn, as I guess you guys would probably appreciate. We talked them 3-0 at our place earlier in the season, and that was one game. That's the only game this year where I could actually say that and look at and say honestly, we dominated them. We really deserved that victory. Because we pressed them well, we pressed them high, forced them into errors, and we scored some actually quite good goals that game. But then again, Paul Ince comes out in the press conference after and says, Oh yeah, it's a bit of a fluke, really. This like let's not try and get used to this every week, because this isn't what it's going to be like every week. Fuck me, it was right. Looking back at it, to be honest. But it's like, you look at that and you think that was our one good game where you could look at and say we really, whatever plan it. Well, maybe there wasn't a plan. Maybe Paul Ince was right. I probably was right. It was a fluke. But like you as a manager, you've at least got to look at it, see what your players did, even if you didn't tell them to do that. But see what they did, see how space was made, see how you shifted the defense, where your players made runs, and try and replicate that. Coach that into your players, then do that again, because that's worked. And just the ineptitude to do that, it's like that. That's probably led to our downfall. And to be honest, we've just become an unbelievably easy team to play against, because as the season's gone on. To be fair, one thing actually that I could say that Paul Ince has done with this Reading team, got us sitting deeper and deeper and deeper. I've never seen a team play football as anti-football as Reading. I know you guys had Dyche for a while, but I mean, Paul Ince would make Dyche look like Pep Guardiola, and the fact that I'm even putting them in the same breath is a bit, I think, insulting to Dyche. But yeah, the classic example of it was Cardiff away. It was on Sky Television. I apologise to any person who was unfortunate enough to watch that on Sky, because it was the worst game of football. Well, actually, no, it wasn't. It was one of the worst games of football I've ever watched, because we just went there. It was mid-February. Cardiff haven't won at home for 4 months, I think, since 1st of October. We literally sat in, tried to play for a 0-0 draw, and we had 4 shots all game. And I said to Alex, who was next to me at the game, I said to him, we're going to lose this in the 89th, 90th minute, and it's going to be Sawyers who scores, because he always scores against us. Who was it? 25 yards, Sawyers. He doesn't always score against us. I think that was his second goal against us, but yeah, I seemingly jinxed it. So yeah, it's a combination of just the coaching, Ince putting us deeper and deeper and deeper as well. Again, Millwall at home was another classic example. Millwall at home, tough game. 2 shots all game, not on target. 2 shots all game. It's just diabolical. Like I've never seen football like it, and pretty much most Reading fans have been unanimous in saying that it's the worst football they've ever seen. But it comes down to the coaching, because
What are you expecting to be different then under Hunt? Because I'm just looking at some of your results now. 1 win since January. That was against Blackpool. You managed to beat Blackpool. We haven't managed to beat them this season. You've scored.
Doesn't that mean we're the best team in the league? Probably, I think.
It does that. That's what I used to do. Say, like, if Burnley beat somebody who had just beaten Man United, I'd be like, oh, well, better than Man United. That's what I used to say when I was a kid.
It's the small wins. It's the small wins.
But you've scored in each of your last 5 games. So does that not give you a little bit of hope that you are now starting? Well, number one, the first question actually is, what's the difference? What do you think the difference is going to be under your new gaffer, under Hunt? And secondly, does the fact that you have now scored in each of your last 5 games give you a little bit of hope that you maybe are starting to get the shots on target and obviously convert them into goals?
It does give a bit of hope, I think, because we went, I think it was 3 or 4 games without scoring, because we went, I think it was 5 away games without scoring as well. We went through an unbelievably barren run in late January, early February. It's good that we're scoring, but the problem is we can't keep clean sheets, because we've not kept a clean sheet since 11th of December, first game back from the international break, where we beat Coventry 1-0 at home. And I mean, for a team that sets up to try and get a 0-0 under Paul Ince, and you've not kept a clean sheet in 4 months, it's not really the best tactic. Let's be honest. I don't even think many people would set up like that within their right frame of mind, if that's the stat on it. But on Hunt and the difference it's going to bring, it's I don't really know. In all honesty, because he's never had a managerial job. He has been in charge of under 23s this season. They've done quite well. We lost a lot of our under 23 players in the summer. As we lost our category 1 status, a number of them were taken, were pinched. But he's done a good job in that front. But I think the biggest thing that Hunt will bring is a unity within the fan base. Every single Reading fan is behind Noel Hunt, because again, he's probably not got legend status at Reading, because legend status is reserved for a select few. But he's probably one of the most fondly remembered Reading players from Reading history. You know, people remember Noel Hunt more than they do Stephen Hunt, who was his brother, who was one of our wingers in the 106 team. I think that says a lot to the kind of character and player Noel Hunt was for Reading, because he's more fondly remembered than one of our key players in that 106 team and our subsequent Premier League team.
Yeah.
So I think unity will be the biggest thing. Hopefully some coaching. Reading did actually release a video today of his first training session, and it was just nice actually seeing a manager actually getting involved in training, talking to players, showing them where to go, where to be, because it's like, I mean, we've never seen that, you know, and maybe it happened behind the scenes. I don't know what happened on the training pitch, but to be honest, with what I saw on the pitch, I don't even think Ince was really turning up to training, to be honest, and he was probably just sat having a coffee or something, or reminiscing of his Inter Milan days or something.
Yeah, maybe. Which Hunt was it that injured Peter Cech? Was it Noel?
That was Stephen Hunt.
Was
No,
Stephen,
that was his brother. Yeah, from the 106 team. And I mean, like, he's, you know, like, so many players, or so many people remember him as the player that injured, you know, Petr Cech, and a bit of a bullish kind of runner that would just go in full-hearted, very ungainly, didn't have that much skill to him, but my God, he was a worker. Stephen Hunt, sorry, not Stephen Hunt, Noel Hunt, a bit different, bit more of a fox in the box. He was a striker. Wasn't, again, like, and again, I think it goes to show what kind of a character he was. He wasn't the most prolific striker, wasn't even close to the most prolific striker for Reading. Even in our team that got promoted in 11-12, you know, you had players like Adam Lafondra, Jason Roberts, who you'd probably say were, you know, more of a goal scorer than Noel Hunt that season. But he's so fondly remembered by every Reading fan because he would never stop running. His personality, he was a leader on the pitch, had a real like camaraderie in the dressing room. Players looked up to him, and hopefully he's going to bring that into being, you know, interim manager until the end of the year, because yeah, you know, style of play, you could pick anything out of the hat, and you know, it could be as good as a guess as mine or any Reading fan, but yeah, just the togetherness, the spirit. Every Reading fan's been behind him on Twitter. You know, if you go through the Reading hashtag and just like look through what people have been posting, it's all been behind Noel Hunt. Former players as well, teammates, again, because he was so loved by them, all tweeting out in support. So hopefully he might not bring, you know, the managerial ability of some others, but hopefully he can bring that togetherness and unity within the fan base. Because I mean, Christ, we've got 3 massive home games coming up now to, you know, that could potentially save our season. Yeah,
well, sometimes you need that camaraderie, don't you? That togetherness, and that is the bit that worries me slightly. The fact that your fans will probably be up for it on Saturday now and get behind you. I also like to also get people's opinions on Burnley, especially after such a good season. Obviously, companies come in, completely change the ethos. I think we lost, this number might be a bit incorrect, I've just seen it on Twitter, but we lost a lot of first-team players in the summer. Some people saying it was as much as 21. Obviously, big players left, like James Tarkowski, Ben Mee, Nick Pope, Maxwell Cornet, and we lost a lot of players. So we had to go and sign a few players. Now, some people just go, well, you're bound to win the league when you spent X amount of money. But when you put it in the way that I've just put it, it's something that had to be done. And it's not just that as well. Companies come in, change the entire style of play. There was such an ingrained style of play in Burnley because of how long Dive was here. And it wasn't a bad style of play. It was just a certain style of way of playing. Company said, I don't want that. I want to completely rip it up, playing a new style, which is probably why we started the season slowly and why I thought we'd start it even slower than we did. I remember thinking we'll probably be around 10th, 11th, 12th at Christmas and then make a late charge and hopefully get into the playoffs. Obviously, it's been opposite of that. Yeah, we were a little bit slow, but we were top by Christmas and we've been top ever since. And obviously, we're on the verge of winning it. But what are your thoughts on Burnley this season and kind of related to that question on the job that Vincent Kompany's done?
I mean, the numbers speak for themselves with Burnley this year. You know, we were talking about it before. I mean, the run since the international break, actually not the international break, the World Cup break, sorry, for you guys has been scary. 20 games, 16 wins, I think it is, 4 losses. You know, you don't see those numbers at all, really, you know, in the Championship, even kind of when you look back to, you know, Reading's 106 season. I think the most wins on a bounce that we had, I think, was 9 that season. You know, there was we'd always have few wins, a few wins, draw, and you know, it was relentless in that fashion. But I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't have Burnley to go straight back up this season in my predictions. I think I had you guys 6th, probably as the lazy final, relegated team to get the playoffs pick, because it was just unknown. Companies come in and did an okay job at Anderlecht. It probably didn't pull up many trees there. So I think a lot of people were kind of like, well, it's a tough gig to come into Burnley and completely change a football club the way he has. But the way he's done it, I think you can't praise it enough, to be honest. Because like you say, you come from a time of where you've just played 7-8 years under Dyche, grind it out, hoofball, football, whatever you want to call it, grinding out wins, maximum effort, minimum, or whatever his phrase was it minimum requirement, maximum effort? That was it.
Yeah, the minimum requirement is maximum effort.
Yeah. But to change that to be, almost a total footballing side, it's been incredible. And in the Championship, I mean, I've really enjoyed Borough this second half of the season. But I mean, I remember watching that first game you played against Huddersfield on the first day of the season on the Friday, and I remember watching it and just thinking like, this isn't Burnley, and that was the first game of the season. I say, it's taken its time to fully bed in, which I guess is fair enough when you think of the changes. But yeah, I don't think you can sing the praises of this Burnley team, enough. And it's been talked about a lot. The points record, 106 points. Need to win every game, obviously, between now and the end of the season to do so. But
yeah,
you look at the teams that are there, it's very possible. It's very possible.
Yeah.
But for a team that wins that many games in the second half of the season, I think, you just got to shake hands and just say fair play, because this Burnley team is something else. It has to be said.
Obviously, Reading are the team that currently hold the record for 106 points. What's the feeling like amongst your fan base? Is it a worry that we could potentially beat it, or are you just not that bothered because you've got other things to focus on, like staying in the league? Or is there genuine conversations between Reading fans of, oh, I hope Burnley lose today because I don't want them to beat our record? Or is it just not something you're that arsed about?
I think there is, because, at the end of the day, it's a very proud thing for the football club to have a record like that, and to boast, the best team in history and all of that. Are fans probably checking their phones, night and day, checking the Burnley scores? Probably not. And it's probably more of an ironic thing. I know Steve Coppell, our manager for that season, he always says that whenever a team doesn't, or gets to the point where they can no longer beat the record that season, so that the team at the top can no longer beat the record, he always has a glass of red wine. Maybe he watches it a bit because it's something really proud. I mean, I know he said that he didn't think it'd ever be beaten. It could be very close, but if you win every game between now and the end of the season, like I say, you just got to say
that's the only way we do it. We have to win every game now. Which because of that, I think we will fall just short. Although I look at the fixtures and I don't see where we drop points, but I just think because we've drawn to teams like Blackpool twice, we've drawn recently to Sunderland. I just think if you're going to draw against teams like them, you're going to pick up another draw here and there between now and the end of the season. Do you think Burnley will beat it, or do you think we'll just fall short?
Now, I have actually thought that you're going to beat it for a few weeks now. The last couple of draws has made it obviously a lot closer. I almost think it might, which is crazy for me to say given how dismal we've been. And again, it'll probably be the pessimism inside me thinking that, well, if you beat us this week, you're not going to lose, because I don't really care about the other teams. And to be honest, I want you to beat the other teams, because I don't want the Cardiffs and the Rotherhams and that to beat you guys or pick points up against you. I don't think so. You might match it. I think you might match it at 106, because I think 1 draw and 5 wins is very possible. 6 wins on the bounce from here, and I think that'd be a run of 9. I think to the end of the season, it'd be very, very hard to maintain that. And you always have the talk of, once you're champions, does it tail off? But there's something about Vincent Kompany, because he brings that Manchester City Centurion winners mentality, relentless. Winning the title isn't enough. You've got to win every game. It's that what Pep Guardiola has instilled at Manchester City when they go on bonkers winning runs to, catch Liverpool like they did a few years ago, or kind of what they're doing right now. It's just that mentality that, company might have brought, and it might make it very close towards the end. But if you beat it, you beat it. You've just got to say fair play, because it's one hell of a team you guys have had this season.
What happens with Steve Coppell's glass of red if we equal it? Does he invite Vincent down and they have one together?
That's a brilliant question, actually. I don't know.
That'll be some good content. If somebody can sort that out, give Steve Coppell a ring. Maybe we'll EFL can get it sorted. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Well, he said it on kind of fans evenings. I attended a night last year with him and Brian McDermott, our two managers, got us promoted. And obviously the question always comes up about the team and kind of how he celebrates, every season. But yeah, he always says he has a glass of red on that evening. So yeah, whether or not he'll do it with Vinny K, who knows? But it'd certainly be worthwhile, I think, if he does.
Yeah. So getting on to the game then, what sort of game are you expecting? Not necessarily touching on the predictions just yet, but are you expecting you guys to just completely sit back and just say, break us down? Or are you going to try and come at us? Because a win would be very, very valuable for you in your fight for survival. So are you going to try and come at us and win the game? Or do you think it's going to be a case of just sitting back and hoping you can nick a draw and maybe damage limitation? Because I'm just looking at the league table now. Obviously, we've scored the most in the league with 78 goals. That's just under 2 goals a game. But it's only 2 teams that have actually conceded more than you at the minute. You've conceded 62 goals. So it's kind of the best strike force in the league against one of the worst defences. So I guess sitting back would probably be a little bit silly, but then opening up against us might be a bit silly. So how do you think you'll go about it?
It's whenever you play teams like Burnley, I don't think there's a right way to play. I really don't, because you got to have a bit of luck against a team like Burnley in the run that they're in. You've got to have a bit of luck to get a result. Hope that you guys maybe party too hard after the Sheffield United win, pretty much clinching the title at that point. Maybe you feel a bit sleepy still, or a bit hungover. But yeah, it's I kind of, in an odd way, I kind of expect Hunt to try and just go with quite a high press, because I kind of feel like he's going to try and just get these players to go after the opposition, and just, if we don't stay up, we don't stay up. I think most Reading fans are probably still very resigned to relegation, even with Hunt in charge, Ince and Hunt now in charge, because again, the games we've got to the end of the season, we've got a horrible run of games, to be honest. So I kind of feel like Hunt might channel that and almost, just go out with almost a mentality of, well, if we go down, we'll go down fighting. And to be honest, a lot of Reading fans have also said, like, I'd rather see us lose 3-1 against Burnley or 3-0 if we actually come out and try, show a bit of a plan of what we're trying to do, patterns of play, how we're looking to attack. Because again, we've been devoid of that for over a year under Ince, of an actual plan and actually being able to see what the team wants to do, apart from lump it to Andy Carroll and pray. That was literally the tactic. So I do kind of expect us to come out on the front foot and try and get into you guys. Whether or not that'll be the best thing to do, like I say, who knows? Because you like I say, whether you like it or not, you need some luck to beat a team like Burnley in the form they're in and everything. So yeah.
Yep, fair enough. Predictions then. I know we've already discussed predictions on your podcast, and I'm going to stick by the prediction I said. I think Burnley will win. I think we'll win it comfortably, and I think we'll win 3-0. I am slightly worried about your new manager bounce. I think we drew against, might be wrong, but we drew against Cardiff when they just appointed a manager. So we have been victim of that. Mick McCarthy had only been at Blackpool for a little bit. He's obviously already left. But he'd already been at Blackpool for a little bit when we drew there. And just to put my 3-0 in perspective, like, I'm very rarely that confident, even this season. But the last time I was
You've got more than enough right to be confident.
Yeah. the last time I was this confident and came on the podcast and just said, yeah, we'll win and we'll win comfortably. That was against Blackpool. Of course, it finished 0-0. So I may be jinxing it now. But yeah, I think Burnley win and I think we'll win comfortably. What about you?
You sure you don't want to go 4-0, 5-0, jinx it a bit more?
6-7, yeah. So you win 3-0, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I'd need to walk away with a crazy hat on if I was going to say a win. To be honest, you can't predict a win. I don't think any Reading fan. I can hope for a win and I can hope for a draw, but I said it on our podcast. I think it's going to be 2-0 to you guys. I think it's going to be around about that. In all honesty, your defense is incredible. The last 20 games, only conceding 7 in 20 games is ridiculous. Quite frankly, so to even get a goal, will be hard. But like say, you never know. It's more the hope really for the weekend. I think the bottom line is for the first time in months, I'm actually looking forward to going back and watching Reading, even though I say that and I go to most Reading games. I was at Preston at the weekend and I knew we were going to lose and I still went. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to seeing a football match again at Reading for the first time in ages, which is weird given that it's Burnley, because like I say, we're probably going to be tonked. But yeah, that's the biggest thing. Hopefully the atmosphere is good and maybe the players can feed off the back of that and, like I say, get a bit of a new manager bounce. And yeah, because a win, it'd be massive. Wouldn't be obviously survival, but it'd be a real good starting point.
Yeah, well, a win could put you as high as 19th, above Cardiff, QPR and Huddersfield, obviously, provided results went your way. And that brings me on nicely to my next question. My next prediction, or prediction of yours, should I say. Do you think you're going to stop up or do you think you're going to go
down? I have to be honest, I still think we'll go down. I know that's very doom and gloom. I've said it a few times on a few radio shows and our podcast that kind of it like with Ince we had zero chance. With Ince we were down with Ince. Like you said, it's kind of unfortunate, I guess, for Burnley that we have sacked Ince because it's given us a small chance against you. It's a small chance, like you say, it might be 2, 3, 4, 5% chance against you guys, but that's what you live for as fans, right? You live for a bit of hope. It's the hope that kills you. I'd probably say we're probably still, well, our chance of survival, I'll say, is probably still about 10-15%. Some other Reading fans say about 25% chance of survival. I'm a bit more pessimistic because I look at the games. We've got you this weekend, Luton following that, who are 3rd, Coventry away after that, who are 9th, I think. And then obviously we do have Wigan at home and then Huddersfield away the last 2 games, which maybe
that's where I think you stay up personally.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those things where I'm probably being a bit too pessimistic because I don't want to get to those games, as nobody wants to get to those games and still be in the relegation zone, needing to win games. But yeah, I kind of feel like we might be 3 points adrift by that point. Even with QPR on the run that they're on, they picked up a draw at the weekend and.
That's my prediction. I think QPR go. I'm just looking at their fixtures as well now, actually.
Their fixtures are as hard as ours, I think.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're as hard as yours, and they're in worse form than you. Not many teams are in worse form than you.
Thanks for doing it. Really does.
It does. But I just don't understand how bad they've been.
No,
they were top at one point.
Yeah,
I know you were as well, but you were top quite early on in the season.
Yeah, I think it's 6 games or something.
15 games or something.
Yeah, well,
they've really fallen off.
When we played QPR back in October at Loftus Road, and we took the lead actually in that game, and we were actually top in that game as well for, I think it was like 2 minutes until they equalised. Again, because we were playing on the Friday, and so we were actually top of the league then as well. But I think when they won, they went top of the league then because it was like 2nd against 3rd or something. I think when we played them, but. Yeah, it's been a weird one. They had Michael Beale, didn't they? And then he left for Rangers, and it's all kind of just gone a bit south since then, and they just can't score or can't win. But yeah, we've been down there enough, and I guess as Burnley fans in the Premier League, you kind of know the deal when it comes to relegation. You're looking at other teams and what they're doing, but ultimately you just want to win your games. You want to have it in your hands. You don't want to be relying on other teams not being as good as you. You want to be better than them. Reading have stayed in the Championship the last few seasons because there's been 3 worse teams than them. You could say that we've diced with it for so many years, and the chickens have come home to roost with it potentially this season. But yeah, I hope we stay up. No fan wants to see their team in League One, but I've just got a bad feeling about this one, that it's just one too many survival battles.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a little bit different getting relegated from the Premier League to the Championship than it's going down from the Championship to League One, but relegation has been the best thing that's happened to us for a while. So who knows? That could end up happening to you. Like, we won't be in the position that we were in now, obviously, because we're still in the Premier League. But what I mean, we wouldn't have been able to bring in Vincent Kompany, completely change the entire side. It's been good for us. So who knows? If you go down, fingers crossed for you that you don't. You could do that and come up as a completely new side, but. Time will tell. We'll wrap it up there, mate. Thank you for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure. Do you want to let everyone know where they can digest your content before we do go? Where they can find you?
So we're the Elm Park Rules podcast. If you just type in Elm Park Rules or at EPR on Twitter, you can find us on there. We post content obviously onto there. Post match thoughts. We do post match podcasts, pre-match podcasts. So yeah, just try and get as much fill of Reading FC on there as you want. We do player podcasts as well. We've done some manager podcasts with likes of Brian McDermott. We actually had a podcast with Noel Hunt as well. So from a year or two back. So if you wanted to go and listen to that and get a bit of a taste for Noel Hunt to get ahead of the game, go and click on there on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on all the podcast platforms. So yeah.
Happy days, some good names there. That's names that we could only dream of. Obviously, I wouldn't particularly want Noel Hunt on the podcast, you know what I mean? But the Burnley levels, so that's very impressive. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure. Fingers crossed for the rest of the season. I hope you do stay up, but admittedly, I've said that to everyone that we played down there. So someone's got to go down. But Wigan are gone, Blackpool are gone, and I think you stop up by the skin of your teeth, thanks to QPR dropping like a lead balloon, personally. But time will tell.
Let's hope.
Yeah, like I said, mate, thanks for coming on. It's been a pleasure. Apologies, everybody. Obviously, I didn't get a chance to do a full-time show after the Sheffield United game because it finished at 10 and I was working for 18 hours a day after, so I struggled. Similar sort of thing with a Reading game. I'm going down to Reading, so I can't do it on Saturday. And then on Sunday, I'm working 18 hours. So I might shoehorn one in on Monday night, probably around 6 p.m, depending on other people if they can come in. But that does mean sacrificing a pre-game show for the Rotherham game. Obviously, keep your eyes on the socials. I'll let everybody know, like I always do, what's coming and when. Of course, there'll be a 60-second review after the Reading game, probably from my car. Or if I go on the coach, I might try and go on the coach. As it stands, I'm driving down. But there will be a 60-second review. And there may be a full-time show, there may not. Like I said, just keep your eyes on the socials and I will let you know. But thanks everybody for watching. If you're watching, thanks everybody for listening. If you're listening, and we will see you next time.